you very much. Thanks so much for inviting me and allowing me to do this remotely. I'm just back to back today, so we're around Lagos. We all know how it is. But feel very honored to be moderating this very relevant panel, which is on global tech trends and its impact in the Nigerian security industry. So as was mentioned, I'm Folake Edu, so I'm CEO and co-founder of Town Talk, and we're a technology company. We focus on data intelligence and have built technology infrastructure to power the whole security industry. I'm actually very happy, excited about this female-heavy panel today, but I'll introduce the man first so he doesn't feel left out. So first of all, we have Mr. Oluwole Asalu, who is the CEO of Komodo Systems Limited, a technology consulting company with operations across a range of industries, including the financial services, oil and gas, telecoms, and manufacturing. We also have Tanwa Ashiru, who I know spoke in the last on the last panel, so there's probably no need to reintroduce her, but I'd just like to say Tanwa is a great force in the Nigerian security sector, especially with regards to like women in security. And so I'm glad to have her on the panel today. And last but not least, we have Mrs. Jenny Saruna, who's a certified security risk management consultant and the MD of SpyTech Security. SpyTech Security is a private security risk management company with services ranging from security consulting to technology support and even health and safety, just to name a few. Sorry, hello? Hello, I'm not sure can Tanwa or Mr. Lasalu say something? I'm not sure I can hear.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, all right, okay, perfect. So so just as a brief introduction, I know there are quite a few global technology trends and they keep on coming, keep on evolving because that's just what we live in now. So to just name a few, the computers are just getting more powerful and faster. They're able to consume more data and do more and process more. People are using data to fully understand people, patterns, trends, how businesses behave. There's artificial intelligence and machine learning, which takes data into another level, understanding the data and automating a lot of the decision making for you. You even have stuff like the metaverse, with this alternative reality where businesses and individuals are buying real estate and NFTs and all these things that I don't fully engage with. Cryptocurrency, which is a very sensitive topic in Nigeria, so we won't go down that road. And just by virtue of all these trends existing and more, we will always and we do have cyber security. So I'll pose the first question to you, Mr. Asani. Being in technology, what do you see as the key global tech trends that us in Nigeria actually need to care about? So for example, if you're thinking of cybersecurity, Russia hacking the US, is that something that Nigeria needs to care about? Like what do we actually need to be worried about or be concerned about?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. With that cybersecurity from a technology point, we've already seen the adoption from the private sector, which is the oil and gas, the FSI, and a lot of these sectors, telecoms. So they are all focused a lot on cybersecurity solutions, which technology provides. Last panel, which spoke about everyday security, which is the kind of things that look at, and just taking from it, why go for cybersecurity when there's still basic infrastructure deficits in this country? I'll tell you, for example, from what the last speaker was talking about, the Okada riders, basic CCTV doesn't exist in the country. And would help. Look at the London riots of 2011. Those who looted stores were caught weeks after because of CCTV. So even in basic estates, CCTV is such a basic structural requirement that would help security. And take it a step further, which is data. even if a CCTV picks up your face, how do we know who you are? CCTV picks, there's no database of who you are. So I remember recently traveling through the airport, you see a lot of around wanted stickers and faces. But those were just names and faces. Even if the person who for you, you know who they are. In countries, there's an intentional investment in intelligence. And maybe this is where we were talking about, which is you need to know who your people are.
Hello. Who doesn't shop?
In the site, what we do now, they're tracking individuals by their user IDs, their MAC addresses on their laptop, but we need to come back to our level in Nigeria, basic infrastructure. Nigeria needs to think about investing in basic technology infrastructure. So basic things like CCTV, an adequate database, just basic infrastructure. We have a lot of data sources. We have the NIN we have NIN now. You have BVN. You have driver's license. You have the PVC. You have the passport. All of that data needs to be in one place where security agents can quickly pull up a profile and triangulate an individual working with your phones and all that. So technology can play a major role. It's sad to say Nigeria is at its element on the capability profile of all the countries. You know, it's sad that Nigeria as a country is at its basic elementary level of level 0, because organizations like countries, the other countries who are attaining capability level of level 2, the organizations like Sweden that are attaining capability level 6. But Nigeria sadly is not even attaining capability level 0. So integrating all of this would use, so there are a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of opportunities to integrate all of this. I was speaking to Tanya about the oil and gas industry. We've been fortunate to operate in that industry, trying to introduce technology. And we see that trying to introduce drone management along the pipeline, we see the challenges. We see there's a lot of challenges. So Nigeria should not go for the big convoluted technology, just infrastructure, putting the basic infrastructure. Let there be broadband in Nembe, let there be broadband in those hinterlands where you have assets. Because when you're there, there's the networks won't work. Nigeria needs to fix its infrastructural deficits to leverage on technology as a whole. That's what I recommend.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Salu. Sorry, can I confirm, is Janice around? Is she online?
Hello,
sorry, can someone just confirm it? Is she on the panel?
Yes.
Okay, you are. Okay, all right. Okay. Because the next question I actually wanted to pose it to both you and Tara to answer the same question. Can you give me, just phoning in on the private security industry, give me an example or two of how technology is impacting your business? Yeah. So I think, Tamwa, if you can go first, please.
Thank you. How's technology impacting our business? I mean, look, me and you are conversing and you're somewhere. Hi. Hi, Falake. You know, and this really is how technology is impacting it. We do a lot of work across Africa, so West and Central Africa. And we have a lot of staff that are out there in all these different states, staff who I have not met personally, but yet we know each other. I know what they did last weekend, and we get to mingle. So at the very basic level, just that level of communication, level of sharing information, that's been very crucial. As far as Bulwark is concerned, because we're in the business of information, of intelligence, security advisory, And we, just like you, crowdsource a lot of our information. We have human sources on the ground. And then there's also social media, like we know. But how do you confirm information? So this issue of fake news, rumors, I think, first of all, going into elections, that's also one thing we need to be very careful about, are the narratives. And that's what really worries me about social media here in Nigeria. But one of the ways that technology impacts us, we have to try to confirm or validate or verify information ahead of time. So that's one of the very key areas. Another thing too, we talked about was with databases. You know, it's just very basic, right? An incident happens, you log it in a database. An incident happens, you log it in a database. Why do you do that? So you can understand trends and patterns. And this is very basic behavior and tactics and strategies that intelligence agencies are supposed to be using. Unfortunately, here we're still finding that our law enforcement, our intelligence agencies, our defense agencies are not still grasping that concept. So they're still using WhatsApp, for example. There's nothing wrong with WhatsApp, but there's also everything wrong with WhatsApp. You know, we're sitting here and then you see a DSS memo that has secret stamped on it, so it's classified and it's viral. So that's, again, one of the issues that we have is just information mismanagement that's taking place out there. And you know, Wale, you mentioned this thing about how we're at level 0 right now. The truth is, we're not upskilling our youth. Privacy, we talked about security. One of the major drivers of insecurity across, not just Nigeria, across Africa, are the large volumes of young people that have nothing to do. So they're riding Okadas, they're on the streets, they're not educated, they wake up in the morning and do what exactly? Nothing. Yet, this is a whole workforce that we could be upskilling to be able to really be up there and give us a global edge as well. So that's one of the issues. I think that you're right. If we can start investing more in youth and their understanding of technology, getting them involved, we might start seeing a drastic reduction in insecurities and attacks across the country. But I just want to finish up with this thing about narratives. I think I brought this up earlier. It's worrying, you know, especially for a country that dances on the brink of religion, ethnicity. All it takes is just one narrative, and that triggers, you know, all this agitation. So, you know, as private security personnel as well, I think going forward, we also try to do what we need to try to do as much as we can to also help push the right narrative, especially when we have that information, when we have the correct intel. How do we also make the correct information go viral so that we're not dousing and adding fire to the flame? An example is this issue in Kano that happened just a few days ago. Was it a bomb blast? Was it a gas explosion? Exactly. So again, just something as simple as that. All it takes, or all it would have taken, is someone saying, "Oh yes, it's a bomb attack against a Christian school." And next thing you know, we start seeing copycat attacks in Imo because we started seeing the use of bombs and IEDs in other parts of Nigeria that we didn't see before, such as in Imo State and other states in Southeast. So again, these are just some of the key areas of how technology really is impacting and working hand in hand and impacting the security industry right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanwa. Yeah, so the narrative thing is extremely important. I mean, especially with the way information spreads so quickly, the ability to like verify that and make sure that it's correct people, that information that people are acting on is extremely key. It needs to keep up with the pace in which the information is actually spreading. Thank you so much for that response. Janice, over to you.
Okay, thank you. Firstly, I would like to congratulate Budaka. Budaka, congratulations on your 15th year anniversary. I know that Tawa has spoken before, and anyone else had that opportunity to congratulate her. Congratulations. Also, I would like to greet some of my bosses that are here, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Davidson, Mr. Dennis, just greeting you. So how technology is impacting us as an industry. As a security company, a lot has changed, especially post-COVID. COVID, we couldn't do a lot of what we would traditionally do, like go on patrols, carry out assessments. So we had to improvise with technology. I can't even say if it's improvisation because it's becoming the way we work. So we were carrying out trainings and assessments, visiting our locations with technology, and that has continued post-COVID. We now carry out on-site training for our personnel. We can relate with our personnel without that that barrier of, oh, the person is in Kano, is in Castina, is no longer there. We can sit down with them, have a discussion, have a meeting, even carry out assessments. They turn their phone, they flip the phone the other way. We see the issue. We can make recommendations on the spot. So we're using technology for physical security in that regard, especially when it comes to guard service. So training, assessment. On the client side, we haven't gotten a lot of adoptions. I think the Nigerian client has two limitations. Adoptions that we might, I know in physical security is a bit tricky when we say that we want to see technology because everyone is used to having personnel there, but there are things that we could have implemented, like electronic gates and things and systems, access controls that are still a bit slow, but would really make a difference in terms of safety to the client that have not been adopted. I know electricity is an issue, but a bigger issue is the fact that the client mentality has not changed so much. I don't know when it's going to change, but it hasn't changed so much. So the industry, the physical security industry remains for us as a business because of late adoption of technology. But what other thing that we do as a security company and how we have adopted technology, we've carried out due diligence and background checks for our security personnel over the last couple of years, over 10 years. And we have been able to create a technology that allows us carry out the verification of personnel and persons of interest across the country, and it can be done remotely. So we are able to carry out verification, assessments, and recommendations. We carry out guarantor verifications for somebody in Sokoto. It doesn't matter if the guy is working in Abuja. If his guarantors are in Sokoto, we're able to verify them. And this also helps with helps the security system. Tara mentioned, we have so many people that are unemployed. When they seek employment, we also have a high mobility of labor at that level. At a lower level, obviously, there's a higher labor and there's a higher mobility of labor. There's nobody collecting this data. There's nobody collecting the data to say, oh, this security personnel that has left this security company is moved to this security company. What are his references? What is his background? When he was at this company, what happened? Why did he leave? That housemaid that you're employing, why did she leave so and so place? Why has she left Lagos and turned up in Abuja, right? If we're able to collect this information, we will be able to monitor crime, especially at that level where the mobility is high. They come in one week, commit an offense, and the next thing they're in a different location working. So there's no trace, there's no way to monitor, and that's why my company does have the POI check system that we have created to help recruiters, employment in the private security, employers generally, but it does help even with employers in the private security space. Private security companies can log on to it. We're still speaking to them to adopt it. If it is adopted, we can easily monitor movement of security guards from the industry. When security guards leave my company and go to your company, we can ask for a reference that can be sent electronically to confirm that this security personnel did not steal, had not committed any offense before leaving. We have a lot of security personnel. Every security company has a board in their office where they've got a list of personnel that have been blacklisted. We even have clients that have been blacklisted, but there's no, if that information, like the Nigerian government, is not speaking to each other. We're collecting NIMSI, we've got driver's license, but all of this information, criminal records, if someone has is committed a driving offense, for instance, the information doesn't speak to the police. The police has no records. I doubt that the information within the police in Abuja speaks to the police in Lagos anyway. So there's technology. I know that Town Talk has technology as well, but are we adopting the technology? There's so much we can do in terms of technology in the security space, but are we adopting them? So just to round that off, that is what we are doing in terms of technology within the security and private security space.
Thank you, Jenny. So I'll just pick out the key thing was that I got out of what you said was around collaboration, and it's not just sharing of data, incident data across industry, but also information now in there, and technology enables that sharing of the data seamlessly as well. But to stay on you for a bit, because I know you manage a lot of people because of your man guards, and a lot of the time people are worried that technology is coming to replace them, to replace their roles and their skills. In your business specifically, do you see technology replacing humans, and how do you see the role of human beings actually evolving to keep up with this move to a more tech-focused world, basically?
I'm very pro technology. I don't know if you got that in my conversation. I'm very pro technology. Unfortunately, it does not support, or it would not support or employment in Nigeria in the long run, especially where we have, but we can move these people. So there's provision for cyber security. There's provision to train more people. Someone said something about fake news and the proliferation of fake news. The DSS and the police needs to train and recruit more people to be able to go online and act as cybersecurity. During the lockdown, there were so many reports of grooming of young children online, and I tried to ask around. So who is monitoring grooming of young children in Nigeria? There was no, I tried to speak to someone in NCC to find out how do we even know that this is happening in Nigeria? How do we even know that young people are being groomed for either to be sexually abused? How do we know they are being groomed for terrorism? How do we know that they are being groomed? So there are opportunities still within the private or within the security industry that we need to recruit. So if, for instance, we have less guards services, we can recruit those people, train and recruit those people to act in other areas, right? That we desperately, I can't say how much, but we desperately need people within the cybersecurity space. I'm guessing that probably Mr. Dennis, because I can see him, he'll probably be able to explain better how much of a need it is that we need so many people in that cybersecurity space. We can train these hands. But in terms of fiscal security, I believe that fiscal security is dead in other areas. It should be dying in Nigeria. We should be moving with the trend. I provide fiscal security service, is the larger part of the business that I provide. But it is, I don't know, we're not developing as fast as I would like to see it.
All right, thank you very much, Denise. So I'd like to go back to Tanwa and then Mr. Salu. I'd also like you to weigh in, because you mentioned where Nigeria is not even at level 0 when it comes to adoption of technology. Okay, all right. Well, Bulwark, you have exposure outside of Nigeria. How have you seen the Nigerian security industry faring in comparison to other countries in sub-Saharan Africa, especially with regards to adoption of technology? I know the answer is not very well, because we've already touched on that through this discussion, but if you could just go into a bit more detail there.
Yes. So interestingly, I just finished reading this document. It was very exhaustive, it had a lot of good information. And it was called Violence in Africa. They were looking at the trends and patterns. It was written in 2018, but it was said Violence in Africa 2023. So it was a projection analysis document. And from reading it, it gave me a little bit of comfort to understand that, first of all, Nigeria is not we're not that bad when you compare with the with the rest of Africa. We're actually in the middle there, so it's not too bad. I think there are just very few countries in across Africa that are actually doing really well economically, that have figured out a way to boost their economy, to get their young people involved and developed. And a lot of them are, some of them are island countries too. So like Mauritius, I think the happiness index there was pretty high. People are happy in Mauritius. We should all go to Mauritius. But but the rest of the countries, even a country like South Africa, for example, is very disappointing because they found that South Africa actually has the highest number of unemployed youth across the continent, and it's very scary for them. That's why, and the post-apartheid issue that they're dealing with, so they are also dancing on the brink. Any little bad narrative, it could spike a civil unrest. It also showed an increase in civil unrest across the entire continent. But on one hand, it's a good thing because then it means that there are more democracies, and democracies mean that they allow people protest. So you're allowed to come and voice your opinion. But on the bad side, our law enforcement and government security forces actually prepared to tackle these increases in civil unrest that we're seeing. They actually noted that only Tunisia, for example, was the only country that was able to harness that Arab Spring in that moment and turn itself around into a democracy, and then increase their happiness or level in terms of happiness of governance. But countries like Libya, for example, was not as fortunate. Egypt has the same level of issues that we have here in Nigeria. We have Benin Republic now. Listen, that issue that was going on in the Lake Chad Basin with Borno State, Chad, Niger Republic, Cameroon, dealing with Boko Haram. Now, I mentioned earlier that the terrorist threat, the bandits, they've moved across to the northwest of Nigeria. Guess what country is now involved in insecurity? Benin Republic, okay, in the northeast part of Benin Republic, which borders Nigeria. So, so we see a lot of spillover that tends to happen. The same issues we're dealing with here, we're dealing with there. In fact, Nigeria may be a bit more advanced. So, for example, when we're trying to verify some incidents that are taking place in some of the West and Central African countries, we're really not able to. They don't use social media as much. They don't have as much spread with technology in some of these countries. So we're not as bad. And I think when you compare it to a lot of the other countries across Africa, but what that means is Africa right now is a young country, a young continent. We have a lot of young people on the continent. So we still have some time. Let's not compare ourselves with Americans, for example, that have 200 years plus under their belts of being a country and so on. A lot of us are just in our 50s, 60s. So we still have quite a way to go, and things can get better. I think it might get worse, but it will get better as we go along. I don't know. I hope I answered your question. I kind of went off in it. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, no. Thank you, Tawa. And it's very reassuring to hear as well. Sorry, Mr. Salu, can you weigh in on that question as well?
Okay, if there's something, so the question is, what can Nigeria do as a country to improve?
Just in regards to,
yeah.
So how Nigeria is faring in comparison to other countries in Sub-Saharan Africa.
I also agree with Tanwa. I also agree with Tanwa that Nigeria is not so bad compared to a lot of the other African countries. But Nigeria has the potential to be better. Nigeria, in terms of education, Nigeria stands out amongst the best in terms of education. So basically, how can as a country take that education to the next level, which is training people? So you have a lot of unemployed youths and unengaged, untrained, and we see that as a workforce. So there are a lot of pockets and pockets of initiatives to train youths. So I think training them would help. I think that would be the first thing which we violently agree on, training and engaging them. Because by the time you train them, they automatically, you do not even have to employ them, but even the training them, you can create a new line of business. I was just saying to her that in what we do, we now have ethical hackers. They didn't used to exist when I started, but right now we have ethical hackers. So a bank recently wanted to test an application, and they reached out to ethical hackers, say, come and break our system, and we would, if you can break our system, we'll pay you a certain amount of money. And it was something that went, it happened. So these ethical hackers are not, maybe they're not gainfully employed, but because they've been trained, they now understand that we can redirect our mindset from providing fraud services to ethical services like ethical hacking. So it's just and Nigeria spends a lot of money on things that I do not believe accurately engage the youths. So if you spend a portion of that educating them, they can create their own vistas for employment. So I think that's the first one. So if as a country we say we're not rich enough to improve on the infrastructure, so you look at WhatsApp and how WhatsApp has helped even in the security space. So I'm sure you saw the videos of the Lekki lynching. It's been disseminated on WhatsApp. So right now, NSAS and a couple of them, there's no hiding place for committing crimes anymore. You can use your phone, record the crime, and it goes viral. So I think education is the key. Nigeria needs to improve on educating and engaging the youths.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Salu. I think I'm actually not sure. I think we're out of time now. But I think I enjoyed that conversation, so I hope everyone else did. Can the organizer confirm, are we doing questions? Okay, all right. Okay, thank you very much. And I thank you all for your time. A very, very interesting panel to moderate. And I think the reality is technology is here to stay. But when we think about advancements or how we implement that in Nigeria, we need to think about the context of the country that we live in. Like, what is the infrastructure that is available to us to enable us to actually implement it? We can't really compare ourselves to, as Chanwa said, we can't compare ourselves to the Western world who have been doing this for years, and they're just way ahead. We really need to think about it in the context of the country we're in. But it's inevitable that we do have to adopt technology and we do have to implement it in our operations, etc. So thank you very much. And thank you.
Thank you.